All right. Good day, students, and welcome to another visual arts class. All right. So today we will be looking at 20th century art, and we'll be focusing on art movements, one particular art movement. Right. Now, if you look at the first slide on the screen, you will notice an artwork is there. First, we're going to identify the type of artwork. In fact, I want you to identify what you're seeing in the artwork, right? So we are looking for the elements of art, the different types of elements and principles of art. And if we look at this artwork, we'll see that there's color, there's shape, there's form, um, there is there's texture. If you look carefully, you'll see texture, right? You'll see contrast. All of those that I've just mentioned of are elements and principle of art, right? Now, I am a teacher, as you know, Marvin Smiley, and we'll be going into the lesson. Now, first, let us look at the virtual classroom rules, right? Student must properly attired in their school uniform where it's visible. Video must be on at all time. Mics must be on mute until told to do otherwise. Say or request permission to speak. Exercise patience and courtesy in the visual arts classroom. No eating while working. Always use the link or guidelines given for information gathering and refrain from visiting adult websites. Use the chat to communicate without disrupting the class. Inappropriate language, symbol, or behavior will not be tolerated. Right? So those are the virtual classroom rules. Now let us look at the safety rules for the virtual classroom. One, ensure that no loose wire is in the walkway where you are working. Learning space must be clean and free from all unnecessary objects. Respond promptly and appropriately to spill on all forms of accident. Ensure that food and liquid are kept away from all electronic devices. Refrain from flashing wet brushes, especially in the vicinity electronic um, equipment are. And last but not least, store artwork in a safe place. You always have to protect your artwork, students. Okay. All right. Now, the resources needed for this virtual class, you have to have your laptop or your tablet, cell phone, whatever that you're going to use, whatever electronic devices that you're going to use. All right. Resources need for the art lesson. You have a scrapbook. This is visual arts class. You must have some form of scrapbook or join book or cartridge paper, some joint surface, some surface that you're going to work on. You can have your paper, your canvas. You're going to need paint, glue, scissors, paint brushes, pencil, starting from 2B upwards. You're gonna you can have your notepads, sketchbooks, cartridge paper, any other available resources. Now, our objective for today, right? Students should be able to identify 20th century artwork from their respectable art movements, right? State two main characteristics of Cubism art: arrange a still life composition using two objects within the house. Create a synthetic cubism artwork from the still life composition arrange, and we are going forward. Now let us look at our engagement activity, right? And here we have a Jeopardy game. Now let's just click at the Jeopardy game. It should take us, it should bring up a link and it should take us right to our Jeopardy game, right? I hope you can still see my screen, and Here we have the Jeopardy game. Here we have the Jeopardy game. We're gonna just click start, right? And it is showing us our Jeopardy game. Now, as you can see, there are some headings at the top, right? It says Cubism art movements at the top, right? Cubism art movements and art movements. Now, there are some numbers there, and the numbers are represent like the price credit that you will receive if you get the correct answer, right? Now, let us click at 100, right? It says, which two artists started the Cubism art movements, right? Now, in order for you to, if you answer this question correctly, then you will receive a $100 call credit, right? You will receive a $100 call credit. So when you answer the question, it will show. So Pablo Picasso and Georges Braque started the Cubism art movements, right? And we'll move on to our next question, right? So if you had gotten that question correctly, then you would receive $100 card credit, and this is how the game play, right? So I'm going to click on 200, right? And there will be a next question pop up, and it would ask, what is synthetic cubism, right? If you get that right, then you receive your $200 card credit. And it says the second stage of Cubism introduced the idea of adding other materials to a collage. Artists would use colored paper, newspaper, and other materials to represent the different blocks of the subject. The stage also introduced, let me move this up a bit. The stage also introduced um, brighter colors and lighter mood to the artwork, right? So that is what um, synthetic cubism is, right? Okay, let us look at another one, and it asks, what is cubism, right? Now many of you should know this because we have been on cubism for quite a while now, right? An early 20th century style and movement in art, especially painting, in which perspective with a single viewpoint was abundant, and use was made of simply geometric shape, interlocking planes, and letter collage. So that is what cubism is about, right? Now, that was our Jeopardy game, students. That was our Jeopardy game. All right. Now let us move on. Okay. So in our next slide, we are going to um, look at something else. Right. In our next slide, we will be looking at the different cubism art movements. Right. We have abstract expression, we have synthetic cubism, we have pointillism, and these are the different art movements, and it shows pictures of artwork from those different art movements, right? So we have pop art, right? And we have cubism, yes. We also have expressionism. So all the artwork that we are looking at is from the is from various art movements. Now, in our next slide, we're going to identify the two main types of cubism. Now, there are two main types of cubism. Analytical cubism. Analytical cubism is the first stage of cubism movement. The first stage of the cubism movement was called analytical cubism. In this style, artists would study or analyze the subject and break it up into different blocks. They would look at the blocks from different angles Then they would reconstruct the subject, painting the blocks from various viewpoints. The next one we have synthetic cubism, right? And that is the one that we are going to zoom in on. The second stage of Cubism introduced the idea of adding other materials to a collage. Artists would use color paper, newspaper, other materials to represent the different blocks of the subject. This stage also introduced the brighter colors and a lighter mood to the art. So that is on synthetic cubism. So those are the two main types of um, cubism: the analytical cubism and the synthetic cubism. Now, characteristics of the synthetic cubism. We are going to learn about the characteristics of the synthetic cubism. Now, as you know, the cubism art movement itself started from 1907, right? But the characteristics like the synthetic cubism, the main characteristics of the synthetic cubism were the use of mixed media and collage and the creation of a flatter space than with an analytical cubism. Right now, this give us a collage feel. Apart from the analytical cubism. Analytical cubism, you use color to to for your image or for your artwork, for your cubism artwork to appear to look three-dimensional. While for the synthetic cubism, you add material for it to be synthetic, for it to be three-dimensional. Now, this type of cubism start in 1912 leading to 1920. All right, here are some sample of the synthetic cubism. So we are looking at a violin, right? And we can see the different types of material that they use, that the artists use in creating this piece, right? In the middle, we are looking at a guitar and also a few bottles. We can also identify some material that was used. We can identify the use of newspaper, right? And if you look carefully, you can also identify media such as chalk, probably charcoal, paint, or crayon. And you're right, we identify materials such as newspaper and all different types of paper. Again, we are also looking at a bottle in that artwork. But all of these three artwork that we are looking at is called it's basically from the synthetic cubism movement. Now here's a zoom up of the artwork, right? So that you can see them better. Now here's a video. I'm going to play a video um, of a short tutorial or demonstration of the synthetic cubism art. Welcome again, guys. We are back with another demonstration, and today we are going to look at the synthetic Cubism Join. Right, so today I will be using a 6B pencil. I will also be using a 3B pencil, and I will also be using, well, I don't know if I'll be using them all, but I have a 5B pencil with me as well. Right, so today I'm going to focus on doing let's see, a cubism a cubism join of let's say a musical instrument, and I'm going to use a guitar. Let's see how a guitar works, right? So I'm going to first just quickly sketch out my guitar of how I want it to look. All right. And then you can have your eraser just in case you put a line and you do not like it. It will make sense to you. Or if not, you can just always change the paper or change the surface that you are drawing on. Let's go again. Alright, so I'm sketching out my guitar here. There's many different ways you could do your Cubism join. You could start it by breaking up the pieces. I prefer to just join it first, then break up my pieces. That gives me a better view on how I want it to look. Right? So here I have my guitar sketching out here. Alright, let's take this down a little. Need a hole for here. Alright. You can always erase the rough areas afterwards. It's no big deal. It's join. You cannot spoil it, right? You can always erase it. It depends on how you want it to look. Alright. Alright, so just a rough sketch for now. I'm working with. Alright. So you have your join ready. Right? You want to break it up now. Because that's the aim of the whole Cubism technique style, right? So let's say I want to break up this piece right here. I'll just draw a line through it, break it up right here, and then what I would do when I do that, I would erase this line, right? Because Cubism is all about shapes and forms. You use up a lot of elements and principles when you're doing a Cubism join, right? So I'll place this right here because I'm breaking up my guitar. I'm breaking it up. I'm gonna put another line here. Let's run this straight across. Okay. And then I'm going to erase this line. I'll maybe put it here. Let this one stay here. Alright. So that is the first part already broken up, as you can see. Right? Now what we're going to do here, we can also break this part right here. I'm going to break this part right here. And let's say we're going to draw a line right here. Alright? And we're going to take the guitar and we're going to put the hole here. Cubism join for it to become a synthetic cubism. Today I am going to use a mixture of colors and add some material to it. Any piece of material I can find around the house, I will add in my Cubism synthetic piece today. So I am now choosing my color that I'm going to put on my guitar, right? So I'm going to work with brown as first. Okay, so I'm going to probably color this part brown, and then we'll see how the rest of it goes. But I'm going to color first, and then when I go through, I will see where I would add my material for it to become a synthetic cubism piece. Alright, now I'm adding my colors. As you can see, I had brown here, and I'm adding orange here. Alright. So it depends on the color that you want to add in each blocks. To represent each side of the artwork of the cubism, right? So this side I'm using a bit of orange in it, and then when I figure out where I'm putting my colors, I will then figure out where I will be adding my material to represent that area, right? So now I'm just working with the pencil crayon, working my way. This is, again, guys, listen, this is just a simple demonstration, of an idea of what the synthetic cubism technique looks like, right? So you can always visit my channel at Shady Smile, and there are other demonstration there where you could see and get an idea as to how to do certain artwork. So this is just a rough demonstration. I did a demonstration of how to create a pastiche artwork, how to do a pastiche join using the grid method and everything. It's there on my channel as well. If you go there, you will see it. And all my videos, guys, I try to keep them very short and simple, right? I try to keep them very short and simple because I don't think if you're demonstrating something, viewers, right? So I'm just basically adding some colors now in anywhere I feel it fit to go, and then I will be adding other materials to it as well. Alright, so now I'm going to start adding my papers. Right, I choose to use paper for my material. You can use, like I said before, you can use whatever material that you prefer to use. Right? So I am just going to add paper, some of the areas that I want it to represent. So this, what it does, what the synthetic cubism does, it's a mixed media. You give it a mixed media effect, right? Or collage. This now will give the artwork a three-dimensional feel, right? Instead of to have just instead of just use the colors or the crayon or the paint, you can use material to give it a three-dimensional feel, right? So I'm going to add my paper here. It's a little bit off, but you get the idea. And today I'm using a glue gun to make my paper stick. If you have other glue, you can use it. You can use tonal glue. You can use paper glue if you're using paper. Alright, so that's the first piece of my paper. Alright, I'm going to do the rest and see how best it turns out. And I am just going to add more paper here. Alright. adding papers, you have to be extremely careful with the glue. If you're not, you can be very use it. Just be careful when you're doing your cutting. Ensure that your fingers are not in the way of the cutting tool that you're using. Alright? Because that can turn out very bad. You don't want any injuries, alright? Don't want any injuries. Alright. This time I think I want to add my material on the outside to give it background. Right, so I'm going to add my material here. You can add your material anywhere you want to add it in the artwork. So I'm going to add my material here, the finished product. But this was just a simple demonstration to show you how you go about doing a synthetic cubism. And of course, that was definitely just a simple demonstration of the how to go about doing a synthetic cubism. I always try to incorporate videos in all my lessons when I'm teaching, right? For students to get a better idea or understanding. I realize that when students see your own demonstration or see your own artwork, it it tends to give them some form of motivation um, for them to do theirs. So I always try to incorporate a video in all my lessons, right? Now we are now looking at collage, and these artwork that we are looking at are just some samples of collage artwork and how a collage would look like. We're looking at the collage artwork now because I want you to understand that it is stemming from somewhere, right? A collage can be identified as a collage is indeed a mixed media artwork. Also, the synthetic cubism can be represented as a collage artwork and also a mixed media artwork. One, because you're using more than one media to put the artwork together, right? So that is the reason why I want you to get an understanding of where it is stemming from and what how it can be identified as well. Now, what is collage, right? Collage describes both the technique and the resulting work of art in which pieces of paper, photograph, fabric, and other material are arranged and stuck down onto a supporting surface. Now, just like the synthetic cubism, we arrange pieces of paper or material or whatever type of material that we can find, and we arrange them and stuck them down on the supporting surface. Now, with that said, the synthetic now would be more of you following the blocks. So instead of using colors, we use material in those areas that was broken up, right, to show the cubism effect, right? Also, collage can include other media such as painting, drawing, and contain three-dimensional elements. Yes, indeed. Just like the synthetic cubism. So it basically ties in to show the similarities between a collage artwork and also a synthetic cubism artwork. Now, for today's class activity, right, I want you to go into your house, whether it's in your room or from your kitchen, right? And you are going to arrange a still life composition using two objects within your house. right? Create a synthetic cubism artwork from the still life composition that you will arrange. Right now, just like the video that you have just watched, you realize that I did a guitar. I did not arrange it in front of me. I just draw it from my head because I want you to see and understand what I am talking about. So I show a little demonstration. But as the student, are going to arrange a composition, right? So a group of object, right? Maybe two or three object in front of you, and you are going to draw that object in the cubism style, right? After you have done so, you are going to add bits of material, any material that you can find, whether it's cartridge paper, newspaper, fabric, photograph, anything that you want to represent in those blocks that you're going to break up, right? After you have done so, yes, you're going to need glue. Remember, I mentioned it earlier in class. You're going to need glue. You're going to need scissors, right? Glue is for gluing down your material on the supporting surface, and the paper, the scissors is for cutting your material that you're going to use. Now, after you have done so, you're going to also list two elements and one principle of art that you use in when you're creating your artwork, right? So that is it for the class activity. Now, these are some words in the vocabulary that you can also look up, right? So you have cubist, you have collage, you have synthetic cubism, you have characteristics, and you have aesthetics, all of which we'll be looking at in next week class. Now, for your homework assignment, again, you're going to arrange a composition with two objects and produce a still life cubism artwork from it. Use technology devices to research and expand on knowledge of one 20th century cubist artist that were not discussed in class. Remember, we have discussed about two, but there are more than just two. So you now are going to go on your computer devices and um, research. You're going to do a small research on other 20th century artists that do cubism artwork. All right. So that would be it for our class or lesson today, right? Our learning outcome. You supposed to understand and can differentiate between analytical cubism and synthetic cubism. Develop understanding of two main types of cubism art. Develop understanding of collage artworks, and create a synthetic cubism artwork based on your understanding from class discussion. Right? I thank you today for tuning in, students, and I do hope that you will have a productive day. Thank you.